representing Axie Tech. So yeah, this isn't going to be super formal or anything, but you know, let's all just introduce ourselves, talk about what we work on in the ecosystem, maybe share a little bit about what you've been working on, what you're super excited about, and then yeah, we'll go into more of a kind of like a open Q&A. And yeah, so let's start off with Ziori.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to be here. Excited to be participating in another Discord stage. I think the first couple that we did were pretty successful and awesome to see so many familiar faces. Hello, everybody. How's it going on this fine Monday evening? I'm Ziori. I'm the program lead for esports and content creators. Like any good, fast-moving startup, my job scope has changed a little bit since my title was formally created. Originally, I was actually working on the creator program, although that's moved a little bit, and glad to have the Quest guys joining us to help assist. Really, I'm working on all things esports related, and recently that's been a lot more events work. I've been also focused working on AxieCon and things like that. People often ask about what does that actually mean when you say you're doing stuff with esports, with Axie. But we have our regular seasons, which are kind of esports adjacent. And we're working on building out a more sustainable and kind of robust esports league that will require a lot of moving pieces between enabling and educating players, developing the storylines there, and connecting those stories with the fans and the folks that are watching Axie and aren't necessarily competing. As well as starting to bring in sponsors and teams and the actual tournament organizers that want to do things in Axie Infinity. All of them need guidance and coordination and all those sorts of things for our ecosystem to thrive. So sometimes I think of myself as like the great organizer across all of the different parties that want to be involved in the budding competitive space of Axie Infinity. So I actually have a really fun job. People like Jiho have to do a lot of heavy lifting to let people like me do the fun stuff. So appreciate it, buddy. Thanks a lot.
No, it's super appreciated all the stuff that you've been doing. We've seen the esports scene kind of blossom from this really small thing that had this little bit of a core during even the auto battles and the beginning of Classic, but you've really taken it and turned it into something special with huge ceiling. What's going on with the? I think like one of the things that I would be good for you to touch on a little bit is like what's going on with like AxieCon esports. There's a lot. There's kind of like three different kind of tournaments, I guess. So I think that's one of the things that people would appreciate, like to be personally walked through by you.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a really interesting time in Axie's history as we get closer to the full launch of Origin and get closer to Axie Classic being something for our memory banks. So AxieCon this year is $1 million split across three different things. 500,000 of it is for the AxieCon Classic World Championship. Right now, we have those open qualifiers going on. The first half of the open qualifiers just completed this weekend, and we have a whole another set coming up next weekend. Half of that $500,000 is spread amongst the online qualifiers. So there is a pretty significant online prize purse for those that want to compete and try their hand, but don't necessarily make it all the way. This is a really fun tournament because it's kind of like our final send-off for Axie Classic. It's been a great game. It's been 21 amazing seasons. It kind of helped get us here, and I'm excited to celebrate that and see who goes down in history as the first and final champion here for AxieCon as it relates to Axie Classic. Axie Origin in a really exciting place. I think the consensus for sure is that it's getting more and more competitive, and it's just about esports ready itself. So we're going to have the first major super big Origin tournament. $400,000 will be on the line and open to anybody who's there on site to participate. We're calling it the Bring Your Own Device tournament, inspired by the old Bring Your Own Computer style tournaments that DreamHack used to have. That could be a phone, tablet, laptop, anything that can run Axie Origin, and you'll be able to compete for $400,000 on site and prizing down into the hundreds of participants. So this is a spot where if you want to come play a little competitive Axie, you might be able to offset a little bit of that cost for your trip coming to AxieCon. The very last one, $100,000 for what we're calling Axie Stadium. This is definitely the lightest and most casual of our esports activations. This one is for the folks that are really excited to meet some of our staff members, battle it out in a slightly more casual environment. We'll be doing heats at various times on days 2 and 3 throughout the day. You'll be able to come battle in a Swiss format, and most likely against other competitors that show up in those heats. And if you win enough games, you'll be invited to come back towards the end of the day to battle against some of the co-founders and our senior staff, and you'll have the opportunity to chat with them, meet them, and kind of hang out with them for a one-on-one after your battle. So trying to cover the full spectrum of esports activations and have an entry point for those that just want to stop by and play a little bit, have the full-blown tournament experience for people that want to come and really get involved in esports, a little bit for the Axie Classic folks, and then, of course, a ton of additional programming going on at AxieCon outside of esports entirely, between panels, the developer stage, all these other things that are going on throughout the venue as well. So, yeah, it's certainly going to be an event with plenty of moving pieces and a lot of esports stuff as well. So really excited to note this time in history, Jiho. It's both the shutdown of Classic and closer to the formal launch of Origin, kind of dialing down one side and dialing up the other simultaneously.
History happens at the edges, Andrew. So yeah, this transitional period is super exciting. I know that people are getting pumped. We just had that awesome season alpha conclusion, and yeah, we're getting ready for phase 3. So yeah, really excited about AxieCon as well, of course. I think, we've been talking to each other, making friends with people all over the world, and some of you guys have never even met each other, and that's perfectly okay. But I think AxieCon is going to be that rare occasion where we get to gather in person, think about the future, make friends, and whenever the Axie community gathers together, I think I've been to more Axie meetups than anyone in the community, and things always get really special, and you have these deep substantive conversations. I think so many of us are surrounded in our daily lives by, right, we have it lucky on the Sky Mavis team, right, where, a lot of the people that we hang out on a daily basis and talk to, in our work, of course, know about Axie, know about Web3, but a lot of you, I think, are surrounded by people who might be non-believers, who don't really understand quite what it's like to be so into this space. And I think, we have to continue to educate those people, but it's also great to be in an environment where, you can feel free to kind of nerd out a bit and get really into the weeds and, yeah, talk all things Axie. So yeah, couldn't be more excited. Yeah, so I'll go next. I'm Jiho. I think most of you guys probably know me. I'm co-founder of Sky Mavis. I came from the community. I was just like one of you guys way back in March of 2018. And I fell in love with the art. I fell in love with the vision. I thought that there was something really special that could be happening here. I grew up as a gamer, as a collector. My dad kind of instilled this love of collecting insects and fossils in me. And yeah, as I'm half Korean, so Koreans, we have to game. It's like a rule of nature. My cousins got me into StarCraft when I was 6 or 7 years old. That was the first thing I ever did on the internet. And yeah, I've been addicted to games ever since. I even got sent away to boarding school because I was so into World of Warcraft. I wasn't interested in crypto before NFTs, but when I found out about NFTs through CryptoKitties, something in my brain clicked, right? It was touching and engaging the right parts of my brain, the things that I was actually interested in, my hobbies. So yeah, recently I've been working a lot, getting Origin ready, getting ready for the rollout of things like Phase 3 and Season 1 of Axie Infinity Origin, working on like a detailed kind of rollout plan for that. Of course, there's been a bunch of stuff related to AxieCon, a lot of planning. It's basically next month now. It's officially next month now. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into an event like this. And yeah, that's also been top of mind for me. So yeah, of course, like, as a team lead here at Sky Mavis, a lot of what I focus on is bringing in the right people to get us to the next stage of our adventure. So I do spend a lot of time talking to potential new team members, recruiting, talking to different businesses and partners that want to come into the Axie ecosystem as well. So yeah, that's a lot of my day to day. So yeah, I will pass the mic, so to say, over to Syntax, also known as Paul.
Jeff, community, how are things going? Good evening, good morning. Really actually very happy to be here and to talk with you all and maybe field some questions from you all. My role in Axie is the community lead. I have been in the role for a little under a year, but I've been within the community since early 2021, silently playing the game, learning about crypto. I have a background in crypto since about 2013, have a pretty significant background in online community development, having developed a lot of open source projects, but became very smitten by this project. And I think the primary reason is that there are incredibly talented people that are very passionate, very engaged in creating amazing things within this community. And when I was offered the opportunity to work alongside this project as the community lead, it just felt like an offer that was almost impossible to refuse. If you think about my role, really underneath everything that I do, I'm working to empower and enable this amazing community to further grow Axie Infinity into this amazing gaming ecosystem that we all dream it will be. And so underneath that, there are a few primary ways I spend my time. One, I'm actively working to build partnerships with organizations that are interested in engaging with Axie, and you'll hear from even some of those today, like Axie Tech, or we're now calling them tribally, and some others which you've heard about recently in some of our dev updates. And so I'm actively working to engage partnerships, but the primary partnership that I think that we have is with each of the members of our community, many of whom are creating amazing things. Like I just was able to watch a video right before this event for the doll game that's been developed by the Builders Program. Really cool game, very exciting. Lots of other things are underway, some of which you all know about, some of which you don't know about, but it's a very exciting time where multiple members of our community are making all kinds of amazing contributions. And so underneath that, we have to establish things like conventions and build out governance. And hopefully throughout this session, I'll be able to go into a little bit more detail as to what we're doing there. So I'm putting a lot of energy in building community conventions and helping establish some incremental governance, as we described a couple of months ago in our update around governance. But last but not least, when I came in, I felt like there was a lot of opportunity to improve the nature and the way in which we did communications within our community. So I've been spending a lot of time on multiple different fronts trying to help work alongside other members of the team to create more transparency around what we're doing and maybe communicate it in a way that's a little bit more accessible to a broader audience. And hopefully you all feel like over the past 6 to 8 months, we've made some progress on that front. So all of those things are really meant to just further empower you all. And I think together, a lot of amazing things are starting to occur. And I think we're about ready to enter into a renaissance as the Origin game launches, and we have some other strategic launches coming forward. But that's me in a nutshell. There's probably a lot more I can say in the details of each of those, but I'm going to stop there. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Community might not know this, but Paul is one of the wizards behind the development updates, which we had that very comprehensive development update that came out in July. and we want to do those on a regular cadence. One of the things that we noticed though is because we hadn't done one in a bit, there was a fair amount, and I think when we were doing them on a monthly cadence, it got a little bit repetitive, I think. So we're still thinking about the best cadence for those, but yeah, I know that you guys really like that. So thanks Paul for helping spearhead that effort. Yeah, let's go to Tendo. How's it going, Tendo?
Hi. Hi everyone. For those that do not know, my name is Jeff as well. A lot of Jeffs in Sky Mavis. But I go by Katendo or Tendo. I am a gamer at heart. I've been in Axie for about a year, and originally I was a content creator. I fell in love with the community and true ownership over an asset in the game, right? In most games, you are region locked, but in Axie, you're able to sort of intermingle with different cultures and people from around the world, in sort of build these connections, right? I started my own guild initially. I was able to connect with those in the Philippines and Latin America, and it was an eye-opening experience. I fell in love with the art, with these beautiful creatures, the gameplay. Fell in love with Axie Infinity. I was able to meet Jihos and build these connections alongside some of pretty big community members here in Axie themselves and other developers on the team. And I was hired a few months ago as a community builder. I think that's a very broad term because we do have Syntax as a community lead, so I kind of fill in where I'm needed. But I do work alongside Jihos and I work alongside Paul. But my job essentially is to build experiences outside of the game for the community, as well as managing and working with our partners and just continuing to build connections. I think you guys will start to see a ramp up pretty soon, especially some changes in the regional discords with upcoming contests and events that will be kind of tied to your Pacific region and sort of culture. And you'll start to see more things that kind of intertwine with content and live streams from the Axie side. You'll start to see more live streams from the devs, us playing games, getting a little more interactive, and showcasing just how passionate and in love we are with the community. It's an honor to work alongside you guys, being able to communicate with a lot of you amazing members here in the Discord, on Twitch, on Twitter, and just being able to, I guess, improve. Like, I'm here to essentially navigate some of the hard points for the community. So for a lot of you guys that are in the audience and you guys might be shy or need somebody to talk to in terms of just what you feel is going on, I would love to reach out to me. Talk to me about the things that you guys like to see improved on, if that's in terms of communications, events, or if you have questions on how you can, become a mod. I'll be here working on those things, setting out these structures and these forums, and you start to see some changes over time. Super excited. So for those, I'm excited to be up here working alongside you guys. You start to see my name a lot more in some events. And thank you, Jiho, Syntax, Ziori, Rare, Vince, and Hantal, being able to work alongside these amazing leaders, devs, and partners in the space. It's truly have been an honor and a blessing.
Awesome. Yeah, we really appreciate everything you do, Tendo, and thanks for setting this up. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, let's move on to Vince, aka Zoser, our live operations lead.
Yo, thank you, man. So my name's Vince, aka Zoser. You guys may recognize my name from many of the Origin patch announcements. I've worked in games for almost 10 years now, and I just gotta say I'm so honored and thrilled to be here. There is no doubt in my mind that what we're building right now is the future of gaming. And so, yeah, I come from kind of a Web 2 free-to-play background, and when I heard about Web 3 as it was ramping up, really from Axie Infinity, I just knew that was the future, and I knew that the next role I took was definitely going to be in this industry, and I'm so honored it's here at Sky Mavis and at Axie. So yeah, I'm the live ops lead. So kind of what that means is a big part of live ops is utilizing features in and around the game to keep it interesting and engaging. So these are going to be things like breeding events, releasing events, and then eventually more in-game events as well, as we build the technology, crafting events and other things you've seen from other games, if you know what I mean. Battle pass isn't off the table, all sorts of things we build, but all that sort of still scaling up right now. And so in the short term right now, I'm basically Phil's right-hand man. And I'm just helping with everything Origin, from the design to the balance, economy, crafting, rewards, you name it. Anything that's needed. But I'm definitely excited to get like live ops and a lot more events ramped up here. And yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here and meet all of you guys and be doing this.
Yeah, it's been awesome to have you on the team, man. I feel like you have so many skills that are perfectly applicable to what we're building, and you have years of experience doing it at scale. And so I think some of the games that you've worked on are like famous for how good their live operations and in-game events were. So yeah, it's been awesome to welcome you to the team, and yeah, I think you're a big part of why Origin has been improving so rapidly and getting so immersive so quickly.
Appreciate that. Super looking forward to season 0 coming up.
Awesome. Yeah, next, let's move on to Hantao from Quest.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for the invite, Jiho. So I'm Hantao. I'm one of the co-founders here at Quest, and I've actually been in traditional gaming for quite a long time. I would say my first interesting moment was when I was playing StarCraft on Ultra in college. I melted my laptop's hard drive because I was playing so much, and I had to get a new one for school. So, and then I also failed my first test in chemistry because I was playing so much. But when I came into Axie, Jiho was actually the second person that I talked to through a meeting. And it was so profound to me at that time that I could talk to a co-founder of a large game so quickly and so easily. So actually, the Axie community was so welcoming when I first joined. So I really wanted to see how we could help. And as a company, we're currently operating the Axie Infinity Creator Program. So if you are a creator, if you are an artist, a developer, anybody that posts content or contributes to the ecosystem in any way, we want to support you in any way that we can through the program. You might have seen some of our campaigns like iOS test flight, custom Lunacian codes, or verified creator roles. Those were all handed out through the creator program. And if you want to be part of it, all you need to do is just comment in the section that's Creator Central in this Discord. And super excited to be here and help out the community.
Awesome, Hanta. Yeah, I've been really impressed by the way that you guys have executed on the creator program, and yeah, I know that there's just so much more to come. And yeah, it's the creators are super important to what we're doing here. I think that was one of the things that I noticed early on, was that Axie had a creator-centric community where people who are contributing in any way, right? I think it's also that we have this very broad definition of what a creator is, right? If you're just tweeting, you might be a creator, right? If you're making any type of content that's getting engagement and attracting attention, you're probably a creator. And so I was originally someone who I bred CryptoKitties, and I was streaming and kind of doing these like podcast kind of like events. And yeah, I thought that, hey, I felt ownership of the ecosystem where, okay, this is a game where I can actually help affect the outcome. I can help affect how successful the game is. And I thought that felt really novel. And yeah, so when I found Axie and when I got hired, to be the community manager initially, I thought, hey, like we need to do creators right in this ecosystem. Brought in people like Cloud White and Chuck Fresco, who were originally kind of CryptoKitty creators as well. So we have a long lineage of really supporting creators, and I think that's really come to a head with the work that's being done through the creator program. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Okay, well, yeah, let's move on to our last guest, Rare Axies.
Jeff, thank you for handing over the mic. It's awesome to be here. Tendo, thank you for setting this up. So for anyone that doesn't know, Rare Axies, you can call me Adam if you prefer. I'm one of the co-founders of Axie Tech, which I think we had Syntax referred to earlier as Tribally Games. So it's all one and the same thing. Tribally Games is really our parent company, but AxieTech is where we began. Many of the people here I know have used our tools, and there are some awesome names in the audience. So I'm stoked to be sitting here talking to you guys. A little shout out to Best Axie, so I noticed has slipped in through the side door. Anyway, I'll back to the story. Our journey into Axie was a bit of an interesting one, and I'd say we would give full credit to Lev Trades. He's one of the 4 founding partners of Tribally. He was hounding Best and I throughout December of 2020 to check out this new concept where players can own their in-game assets. And I've got to be honest, I didn't listen to him for a full 3 weeks, and then in January of 2020 bought 3 Axies, 3 absolutely terrible Axies, but immediately I was hooked. I certainly don't want to take this conversation down any sort of lines as to play and earn, all that kind of jazz. But it was clear to me that whilst this was early technology, this was going to be huge. At the time, SLP was a couple of cents, but I was playing every lunchtime at work, and very, very quickly I spun towards Web3 as a space which interests me enormously. I actually was offered an opportunity to leave my previous work on the 1st of April 2020, and without hesitating, I jumped. I knew that Web3 was where the future lay, and it just so happens that a couple of days later, a certain Best Axies knocked together the first version of AxieTech. If you'd have told me 18 months later I'd be sat here in this town hall, I would have said you're probably mad. But at the time, we sat down as founders and we said, it feels like all our paths in life have led us here to AxieTech. And so far, at least, it's been an absolutely incredible ride. It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to be up here today. And honestly, I'm super stoked to be here and looking forward to meeting as many of you guys as I can at AxieCon in what is it, 5 weeks now. I think that covers my my entry into Axie. Just want to say again, Jeff, appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and Qtendo, thanks for putting this together.
Awesome. Yeah, AxieTech has been so important to the ecosystem, from building out the origin guides, right, with the Quard and the Rune Explorer, to the summer breeding event, the breeding calculator, which I personally have used, to your scholarship management tools. And yeah, you guys just do so much important work for the ecosystem, and yeah, hats off to the team.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah, I will turn things over to Tendo, who is going to narrate or moderate, I should say, the Q&A. So yeah, I guess if you want to speak, raise your hand, and Tendo will bring you up. And yeah, with that, I'll pass things over to you, Tendo.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate that, Rare, as well, and everyone else for giving us a nice little introduction. So if you would like to ask a question to any one of our partners or devs that are up here in terms of governance, community, creator program updates, or gameplay, go ahead and raise your hand. Or you can also type in stage text if you are a little shy. We'll go ahead and read it from there as well.
I've got a community question that maybe can kick us off. One that I get even on my feed pretty regularly that I see Tendo posted for us here. As it relates to governance, we've talked about Axie scores a lot and different factors that will somehow contribute to your ability to participate in governance. Maybe helpful to unpack what that could look like and what our current model around that is. And does Ron fit into that? And how does the AXS token fit into the Axie score? I often hear people asking, like, will Ron play a role in governance as well as AXS? So I don't know who wants to take that one, but clarity around that pops up a lot.
Jeff, do you want me to take a crack?
Yeah, go for it.
So I think it's a really good question, and there's a lot of dimensions to what you asked, Andrew. So I'm gonna start by saying a couple of things. One, hopefully people have been reading the governance updates that we've been posting. We've posted a longer form one a few months ago, and we made some comments about it in this last month's dev update. And so if you haven't seen either of those, I'd encourage you to look there for more details. But at a high level, I think, as you all know, we have this token, it's AXS, which was designed from the outset to support governance-related decisions. But we also, hopefully you all have noticed that we've been going very much out of our way to start to better understand the various contributors and get to know them and to further empower them within the community. And we are in the process now of building a community-based process formed fully by community members to identify and ultimately credential those that are making contributions to the community. And what do I mean by contribution? Well, it's really anything from suggestions about how the game should be better that are well received, to content that you all are making, to educational videos, to engineering work that you all are doing, or just being a very supportive member of the community. We have been working pretty diligently for the past couple of months to basically build up this process that will allow the community to identify each other through a process of nominations and peer review, those that are making regular contributions to Axie. And we see that is really important as a community-driven process because, well, you all need to govern who is making contributions. And they're going through a process of building some of the characteristics of contributors. You're going to see a little bit more of that released here in the next week, in fact. But why do I mention all of this? Well, the question, I think your initial question, Andrew, was around this idea of an Axie score. And I think what we've realized is that there is a series of interfaces or interrelationships between people's contribution and Axie holding. And I think what in the many conversations I've had with community members, one of the things that I hear most often is that those people who are most engaged with the community and working really hard to make Axie Infinity a great ecosystem are the ones that probably have the best insight in terms of what direction we should go as a community. And that starts by giving advice and feedback, but it ultimately starts to evolve into decision-making over time as we start building things like councils. And as we start providing resources for those councils to start building out things, you can start to see how over time, a lot of the decision-making around Axie's future increasingly goes into the hands of the community. And so what I would say in the concrete, Andrew, is that to all community members, we see and recognize, but feel a little bit like we've underappreciated in a formal way those forms of contributions. And so hopefully you all are starting to see that through the various programs like the Creator Program, like the Creator Academy. And pretty soon you'll start seeing this notion of contributor recognition with a credential that will potentially be available within your Ronin wallet. We can start to build something like an Axie score. We can start to experiment with giving people privileges that are interrelating to something like a credential. And so stay tuned. We're actively working hard. I see people in the audience who are within some of these conversations. I wanted to thank everyone for all of the work that they're doing to get us to this place. And I think what ultimately we're going to arrive at, this Axie score is really going to be, I think, a product of the way in which people make contributions to the community alongside their token holding. And I think over time, what we need to do some research and development around is, well, how often do contributors hold AXS? Do we need to do work towards making sure that contributions are recognized with AXS? There's a lot of different dimensions to this that I think we're going to have to explore and better understand. But I'm really excited to say that we're making a lot of progress, and you'll start to see some of the rollout of that here in the next few days. I'll maybe pause there. Were there any other aspects? I think you might have mentioned, Andrew, something about Ron. You know, I think Ron has a broader mandate as something that supports the Ronin chain. Of course, it relates to Axie, but I think everyone at Sky Mavis sees Axie Infinity as kind of like the cornerstone, one of like the benchmark franchises within that ecosystem of Ronin. But I think we see other projects popping up on Ronin as well. We have a lot of ambition around that, and so I think it doesn't necessarily fit governance for Axie Infinity, but I can imagine if we get to a place where we're decentralizing governance decisions around the Ronin ecosystem, we might give that some thought as well. But I don't know, Jeff, if there are any kind of color comments you want to add from all the things that you've been a part of these past couple of months.
Yeah, sure. So with regards to Ron and Axie governance, I think it's much more clear that Axis, the Axis token, is part of its main utility is around Axie governance. So Ronin is distinct, right? It has its roots within Axie, but we envision it becoming something much larger for the broader Web3 gaming ecosystem as well. So that needs to be taken into account when we think about Ron utility. So I think for now, right, it's good to think of it kind of distinct from Axie as much as possible.
Cool. Thank you for that answer as well. Thank you, Syntax, as well. I think we'll bring up one of our requests to speak. We'll start with those that have their Ronins linked, and then we'll also answer a question from the stage text after. I think Rai Kai. If not, we'll bring up Axie Infinity Labs, community member and content creator that we do see a lot.
Hey guys, thanks for bringing me up. This is a pretty great idea. I've been hoping that we would do a Discord related thing, especially since Discord's more intimate than just Twitter, because I know a lot of Axie community members that don't really spend much time on Twitter, but they're completely committed to the cause. Anyways, I just had a question about the Builders program. I'm playing Doll right now. It is so fun. I just got top 5 right before you guys brought me up on the leaderboard, and I've just been hearing everybody super excited about this game, and just how addictive it is, and how they just want to play more, but they don't have enough shields, and they're trying to find out ways to get shields, and everybody's just so stoked. And I just wanted to kind of ask what your guys' vision is with the tokenomics on Builders program games, because I know that originally it was just going to be kind of we have to pay SLP and then we could earn SLP, but it was a burn mechanic, and then it kind of got switched. And obviously we have a lot of play to earn allocation of AXS that hasn't been distributed yet. So I'm really curious to see your current vision of that. Is there a potential possibility in the future that a Builders program game could be one of the best ways to earn AXS? They actually get a large share, or is it always going to take kind of a back seat to the proprietary Sky Mavis games?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll take this one. I want to say that it's been amazing to see the Builders program progress. Huge shout out to Phil and everyone who's been driving that forward, right? So we initially have given out 12 grants to 12 different teams that are all community members working on building on top of the Axie IP to expand the utility of your Axies and make a more immersive universe. I think what we're seeing is that there's these kind of parallel development tracks, right? There's the core Axie experiences that are being built out by Sky Mavis. We still believe that there's a need for a ship captain to be building and these super well-polished core experiences for the community. Then we also have the Builders program, which is this parallel track, which is more community-centered, and it's kind of more the user-generated content around where we're empowering the community to build on top of the IP, where we believe that Axie will become this base layer of Web3 IP where you have these Axies and then those Axies become the tickets to an entire universe of experiences, some of them built by Sky Mavis and some of them built by the community. And in terms of like the economics, the Builders program is still at an early experimental stage. We're definitely listening to community feedback, looking at what's happening, and I think right part of why this conversation is happening, Axie Labs, is because you find Doll to be so amazing that you're like, hey, this would be even more awesome if there were some access rewards, right? Potentially funded by maybe the ecosystem fund or the planner and allocation. So yeah, that's definitely something that is on the table where we could be giving out grants of tokens to builders program projects. It's definitely something that's on the table. I think what I want to see and what we want to see first is for these projects to build amazing experiences where people are playing for the love of the game first, right? If people are playing for the love of the game, that is actually what creates strong, you know, an ability for it to become this amazing integrated kind of Web3 economy later on. So it's definitely something that we'll be keeping an eye on.
All right, thanks. I have one
So yeah,
follow-up if that's okay.
yeah,
So
sure.
I used to play a lot of Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2, like the actual game,
Mm,
but also custom maps. And there's times where I'd actually play more custom maps. And one of the things that I think was the most tragic was Dota on Warcraft 3 was obviously an incredible game that everybody loved, and Blizzard missed out on a big opportunity to actually work with the creator to make it a proprietary game. And then League of Legends spawned, and eventually they released Heroes of the Storm, but it was too late, and Dota 2 and League of Legends had a foothold in the market. I guess my question is, like if there is a game that the community makes that's absolutely incredible, like would there be a potential for Sky Mavis to actually bring them on board, kind of like we have separate teams for land and we have separate teams for origin. Like if they do a really good job, it's like, hey, we're willing to bring you guys on and give you guys your own department within the actual company.
Yeah, so yeah, I love the Warcraft 3 shout out. I know Zuri was like, really into the Dota ecosystem. That's where he came from. That's where he was born, in many ways. And yeah, I was also, playing a lot of custom maps in Warcraft 3, like the original Dotas, but even some of the other ones as well. And yeah, I definitely agree that the story of Dota is actually a great case study for the application of Web3 in gaming, right? Imagine if Blizzard had, right, incentivized and taken an ownership stake of some sort in and found some way to basically align incentives with Snowfrog and everyone that was working on the game. So it could have been a much different history. So yeah, I think that's a great example of what could happen here. And internally, we are discussing ways that we can really become even more integrated with their builders program projects, especially as they show success, right? Whether that means, maybe integrating them formally into Mavis Hub, things like that. Those are definitely discussions that we're having internally.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Axie Infinity Labs. Quick question from Cairo. Will off seasons have SLP earning mechanics in Origin?
I believe the current plan is that, right, like just as you have the off-season Moonshard rewards, there would also be SLP ranked rewards during the off-season. So of course that will require phase 3 to formally commence, which will also have the addition of SLP rewards to the ranked mode in Origin, and of course the highly anticipated reduction or extraction. I guess I shouldn't use that word, but the the basically turning off the SLP faucet in Classic.
Cool. We're bringing up Sylvia JDM.
Hey, I appreciate the chance to speak here. First off, I want to say I love what you guys are doing with Axie, and I'm excited to see what's to come with Web3 and where you guys are going to take this entire thing. I'm a little confused on the white paper with the Ronin network. And I've talked to a couple of different mods in the Discord, and they haven't really been able to give me a straight answer. Right now, we are farming RON in the form of liquidity pools. But in the white paper, it says we are going to be able to stake RON with validators. Is that actually like, are we going to be able to stake like AXS? Like what is going on there? Can I?
Yeah. Awesome. I'll take this one as well. So this is kind of more of a Ronin network question, but yeah, happy to come in and clear up any misconceptions. So right now the plan is to introduce something like a delegated proof of stake system, which basically means that there will be a set of validators, right? We just added 5 new validators the other day, and users would be able to stake their RON tokens through a validator, right? So validators would be getting staking issuance, the gas fees, and potentially DAT fees, right? Like Katana is generating fees right now, and then be sharing those rewards with the people that have delegated their RON tokens to them.
Now that's not here yet. Am I correct on that?
Yeah,
Like
that does not exist. That is the current plan, but it hasn't been rolled.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I mean, like, I pay attention to the white papers, I read everything, because I mean that's where you learn a lot.
For sure.
I appreciate.
Yeah, I think
clearing that up.
so. This might be a little bit unintuitive the way that I set it up, but right now, if you look at the light paper, the decentralization page, you can kind of see some of the phases there.
Well, I read through it. I was looking at phases, and I was like, "So are we on phase 2 yet?"
Yes. So right now we're not. Right now we're still on phase 1. So then you'll see that delegated proof of stake is part of what is associated with phase 2.
Where are we at as far as the number of validators?
Let me count. So we just added some more. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we currently have 9 validators outside of Sky Mavis and Axie.
Okay.
So we're
awesome.
We're
awesome,
on the way there.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for bringing me up and clearing that up. Whoever wants to talk next. Yeah.
Appreciate it. You have a good one.
Us too. Thank you.
We're gonna bring up that crazy dude. Interesting name. Hey, brother, welcome.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm that crazy dude. I'm a Axie content creator on Twitch and YouTube, and really, really excited about what's happening with the game. Something I've been, really interested in is the team talks a lot about how lore ties into every aspect of the game. And I know, like I saw on Twitter 2 days ago, Philip Law was kind of spitballing an idea about how the community might actually contribute to Axie lore, which, I come from a background of professional writing, and that got me really excited. I'm just really curious, as a more general question, what the plans are for Axie lore, and if the community might be able to contribute in some way down the line. Like, are we going to potentially have more ideas like that? And if so, what are kind of the rules of Axie lore that we would need to follow?
Jeff, do you want me to take a crack at that one?
Yes, please.
So I love the question. I think it's a really important one. I mentioned before in a previous answer that we think of Axie Infinity as an ecosystem, as a world. And if you think about other large gaming ecosystems, and we mentioned some of them in the last dev update, projects like Lord of the Rings, Final Fantasy, others, they have kind of this underpinning of a world and a story and major characters, like some of the starter Axies that we have within Origin. You start to get this cohesive universe of which, with the more sophisticated ecosystems, they get so much information out there that you end up seeing this third-party world of people creating stories and their own adventures. And kids playing out in their backyard, thinking about how they are living within that universe. And that's, I think, the kind of world that we want for Axie Infinity. And so while we have some dedicated members of the Sky Mavis team that are focused on building out some of that lore, and hopefully you're starting to see some of that unfold inside games like Origin. Hopefully you also saw in our most recent developer update a whole section on lore where we talk about our partnership with a new organization called Strider. And within that organization, they have a number of really world-class world builders who have been involved with properties like, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Dead Space, Red Dead Redemption, a number of these like really expansive universes. And they are working along with our Sky Mavis team to develop a comprehensive lore that can be the foundation of what drives these third-party games that we're seeing increasingly people have interest in building, but more importantly, can also help create a foundation for any community member to build out things within that ecosystem, such as stories, such as art, perhaps even maybe ways in which you can customize and build more of a relationship with the Axies that you own by, attaching stories and history to each of them. But in order to do that, you need some kind of a foundation on which to build all of that. And so we're really, really excited about not only having that internal team that's actively growing and with some really strong talent, but we also are partnering with the organization like Strider. So that crazy dude, if you're interested in that kind of work and you want to get involved with that, maybe you could send me a DM on Discord. And for others who are interested in that sort of work, if you're wanting to contribute, I'd love to hear from you, because I think we're going to build that part of our community out here. And you'll be seeing more information about that at the AxieCon event and with some other things that are coming up. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that. I know, Jeff, you've been a part of that conversation.
Yeah, I think like we definitely want to have this community-centric approach to lore. And one potential model, I'm not saying that this is exactly how the way to think about it, but like what if Sky Mavis provided something like the Old Testament, and the community, right, then kind of helped shape something like the New Testament, right? Or as Philip was mentioning on Twitter, right, maybe there are certain attributes that players could shape or choose for their own Axies that, and later down the line, it would be interesting if that had like second order effects where you have this attribute that's assigned by a player, and that might have even an effect on behavior or the animations related to that particular Axie. So that's where I get really excited about it. And yeah, that crazy dude, you are yeah, I think if you're interested in lore, let's talk. Let's get you involved somehow.
Absolutely, that would be incredible. I already have a million different ideas with my guild and kind of personal lore that we would want to do. I've been having conversations with other content creators like Captain Carey about creating some shared lore, or just experimenting with different things, and it's just fun to brainstorm these ideas. So I'll connect with you guys offline. But thank you so much for answering the question.
Awesome. Yeah, I think like another thing is that a shout out that I wanted to give is the Big Yak Axie Club has been putting out some experimental lore, right? Like you now have these factions forming, right, between the different body shapes. So I think like more experiments like that from the community are also going to help shape our thinking on the relationship between the community and the lore moving forward.
Cool. Sounds amazing. I think we're all looking forward to seeing the lore expand and shape. So we have about 5 minutes left in our town hall. Unfortunately, we do have 4 people that did request to speak, so I'm going to bring up the first 2 that did request. So Katsu.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
I am I work basically like creating educational content for people that want to become better at some games. And usually I think more Axie as a game than a way to earn. And sometimes I'm kind of worried because um, with the recent updates, we see that um, basically I get the impression that you guys want to make Axie a fast-paced game without giving the chance to use like a control deck. If you play Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, something like that, you maybe understand. And I like Topaz builds, but I don't know. What my question is, what is the ideal game in your mind when the ideal Axie Infinity as a game in the future? Is fast paced or is giving more possibilities, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think I understand the question. I think like, the main thing that we try to optimize for is making sure that it's a game that is super immersive, that gets people into flow state, right? So you're being optimally challenged against people at your skill level, and you're having to make complex decisions, right? Some of the best games have almost like infinite decisions, right? Like chess is a quite simple game, but there are actually infinite ways that games can be played. And I think as it relates to Origin, right, that's kind of the direction where, right, we want people to be as immersed as possible, feeling challenged at the edge of their abilities, and yeah, being forced to make, you know, quick decisions on what they should do next, what card they should play. Should they be retaining certain cards? Should they be, using the new redraw mechanic? So, yeah, I think it's been improving really rapidly, and yeah, I'm really excited about the direction. Did that answer
Yeah,
what you were saying?
kinda, but it's like
Jeff, can I add something to that?
yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Go ahead.
say about Nutcrack, for instance, and Little Wall. They those two cards basically think more about the late game, and Topaz is the same way. Tiny Dino and other ways. Do you plan to make strategies that aim more towards the late game uh, better, not better actually, viable, or only aggressive builds? Because nowadays basically it's either aggressive builds or stalling builds. And I play as a Topaz build, and sometimes I mean, I didn't build my team to basically be stalling build, but sometimes it's basically I get feeling the Blood Moon basically does half of the job, and I like the idea of building up my damage. And sometimes, okay, I'm doing it, but I don't know. I don't feel that rewarded because the Blood Moon does basically half the thing. I basically thinking more. Do you plan to make both aggressive builds and control builds more towards the late game viable, or do you think Axie Origins needs to be more fast paced and basically being really fast games and basically just aiming towards the aggressive builds?
That makes sense. I understand your question now. I think, yeah, as Vince wanted to chime in.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the game's really early on, and I think one of the important things is that all of the mechanics that exist in the game, there should be win conditions for. And I think what you're kind of asking is like, can we have more of that, and should we expect to see more of that? I think we will. So let's not forget, Dusk, Dawn, and Mech cards haven't even come out yet. So there's going to be obviously more mechanics coming in. But if we look at some of the core mechanics right now, we have like control decks. We have curse cards. So that means that opens up a possibility for some sort of win condition where you flood your opponent with curse cards, right? Obviously, we have aggression. We haven't seen anything like combo or Exodia-esque type of stuff. That's not off the table. Then, of course, we have like hard stall and heal through Blood Moon. But I think important in any game like this type of game, in this realm of like, these card battle games, it's important to have a ton of different win conditions. And let's not forget, the game is still early on. And I think a lot of us internally and externally want to see and explore more of those win conditions. So I hope that helps a bit.
Yeah. It basically, I want to have more clear future, and if you want to bring combos and another win conditions like skirts to and all that stuff, I actually think it will be a really fun game, and that's what I want for Axie. So thank you.
Yeah, without giving away any direct spoilers, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually love downs, and I really want to play it, have a lot of downs. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I definitely understand like there's this kind of tension between, right, like aggro sometimes in some metas, right? Like we had a meta that were like everything aggro was like quite strong, and then right we had like heal and like maybe even reflect meta, and then I think like with the last balancing patch, it was kind of like a move towards the middle, right, where I think like some of these more defensive decks are still very viable, but you're also seeing some of the aggro decks having, as Vince said, more win conditions as well. So it's a balancing act, right? And you want there to be, for all the mechanics in the game, you want there to be a viable path to victory. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Our last committee member that we'll be able to bring up, Paul V, 22.
Hey guys. Hey guys, can you?
Hi, we were hearing you. I think you muted yourself, brother.
Brilliant. Great. Hey, thanks so much for hosting the space and having me on. I'm a year into the community and absolutely loving it. The question I've got is regarding phase 3 and essentially the plan to SLP issuance once phase 3 starts. Obviously, with V2, we've had to slow it down due to hyperinflation. With the new with Origin, and once that starts, will there be a plan to I guess slow the issuance at first so the burn mechanic can sort of I guess overdo that issuance process, or are we going straight in at essentially full issuance based on what the Origin game should look like, or and how does that look, I guess, is where I'm sort of going.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. And I think that's probably top of mind for a lot of community members. So I'm glad that we were able to address that before the end of the space. So I'll also let Vince chime in a bit, but I also understand that he might be a little bit shy about leaking too much. So what I will also say is, so in the last patch notes, right, we had a note in there that said, Origin SLP emissions will be tuned conservatively to better balance the economy. Emissions are projected to be much lower overall than Classic and will be focused on rewarding skilled players that move up the ranks. We will tweak as necessary as we gain feedback and data after the initial launch. Right. So basically, yeah, we are projecting that SLP emission through Origin once phase 3 starts is going to be far less than it currently is through Classic. So I think, yeah, like, for those that want to see SLP emissions like drastically reduced to help better balance the economy, we feel like phase 3 will be a good start towards that.
Yeah. So to kind of extend on that, emissions will be going down, as he said. But I also think what's really important, and a lot of the focus that I'm kind of working on, is how we're going to get burned up. And so I view SLP as a utility token. Like, that's just kind of what it is. Being a gamer and having it be gamified. And so far in Classic, SLP's utility has really just been breeding. But now when we launch, Season 0 and Phase 3, SLP is going to have a huge utility inside the game for crafting. And so we're going to see how that looks really quickly. And so there might be some adjustments made as far as how much emissions and what are given out. But for a start, obviously there's going to be a bunch of utility for SLP. That kind of answer.
You're muted, brother.
I know.
Okay, well, I think that answered that answered the question. It's going to be really interesting to see what the burn rate is once we have the NFT runes and charms, which will of course require both moon shards and SLP to craft. With the space is popping off right now, so I don't know about you, Tendo, but I'm down to take a couple of more. If people have obligations and stuff, they of course can peace out.
Jeff, I'm here.
Awesome.
And Vent Rare, you guys are comfortable going over a little more?
Absolutely.
All right.
All good for me.
Enjoying the questions.
Gonna get some questions your way, huh? All right, the requests are back up. So again, you can request if you have a question to ask in terms of community gameplay, content creator program, or Axie tech, any tooling questions. Feel free to request and raise your hand. We'll bring you up. What's up, brother? Ran? I don't know if he accidentally might have put himself on stage. We'll bring up censored name 4497. Okay. Run. See you requesting your hand, Run. Go ahead and send you a request to speak.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to raise my hand and I guess I just added myself.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I just wondered, is there any details that we can get on the Mech, Dust, and Dawn cards and how we might be getting those at some point?
Well, I think that some of them are kind of leaked, right? From, I think, the API. So I think if you do a little bit of digging, you might be able to get some sneak previews.
Yeah, I just mean, in order to get Axies with sets of them and stuff, it'll have to be some kind of, well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that this is something that is still kind of in the very early stages of discussion. So I'm hesitant to share anything on this yet. Other than we know that we want the rare class or the special class cards to be a thing in the future.
Right on. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Frederico.
Hey there.
What's up, brother?
Hi, greetings from Argentina. I would love to ask some questions about moonshirts. Basically, there's a problem that was asked by in a stream. I don't know if you know Rohan. It's a streamer from Argentina too. He made a video about moonshirts and about how people can create secondary accounts to actually grid the account and get a lot of moonshards. And as we know, moonshards will be transferables or runes. So the question is, if you know already how you're gonna fix that problem and how you could prevent it when Origin is out.
Yeah, so this is we all read Rohan's thread, and I think similar concerns have been shared by other community members as well. And it's something that we're definitely looking to address. And I think we agree that the incentives are a little bit strange and out of whack. So me personally, like I thought that the rank up rewards, for example, were quite generous, and that sometimes it felt like grinding moon shards just by from the battles seemed a little bit low. So it's definitely something that we're looking to adjust and refine. And yeah, I would look forward to potentially some changes with that system for phase 3.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Question from Boogie. Is there any updates for the other games that are under the Axie Builders program? I think this is a question for Jiho.
Well, I would take a so Axie.tech has an amazing page on their site that features all of the Builders Program projects. So you'll be able to follow them on Twitter, get all the latest updates. I know that there are currently 3 Builders Program games that have a playable demo or alpha, or whatever the teams are calling it. Those are Across Lunacia, Doll, and Axie 4. So yeah, I would definitely follow them for updates. And the projects just also gave updates in the July development update. So if you check that out as well, those are updates provided by the team. In many cases, you'll be able to see like gameplay sneak peeks, concept art, and other little insights into what these teams are building.
Cool. We do have 2 requests. He doesn't have his Ronin link, so we'll invite him up. Let's see.
While you do that, Tendo, if I may just say thanks, Jeff, for the little shout out for axie.tech/builders. We actually updated it yesterday. And you are right in saying there are 3 games that are out right now. You've got Axie Infinity War, you've got Across Lunacia, and you've got the one that everyone's going on about today, Defenders of Lunacian Land. Giving a little shout out, see if I can get some more shields for my inventory.
What's up, Ken?
Yeah, that's been a neat.
Thanks for bringing me up. I'm Kenji Koyama from Philippines. I'm just a scholar in Axie Infinity Classic. My manager is quitting in Axie Infinity Origin. I'm asked one question. If Axie Infinity Origin is free to play, can I gain SLP for playing Axie Infinity Origin without Axie?
So your manager is quitting, and so you're wondering if you'll be able to earn SLP through Origin just using the starter Axies. That's correct, right? I think I'll let Vince maybe talk a little bit about this. It's tied into kind of like the Ronin spirit mechanism.
Yeah, so the simple answer for this is no. We are still preserving sort of the way Classic was done, which is, having NFT Axies. It does scale. So, if you have 1 or 2 Axies, you can still earn a portion, which is cool. But the good news is you're still entitled to AXS rewards, even as a entirely free to play. And then the other thing is you'll still have the ability to craft. And so anyone who's getting access to moon shards using free Axies can still craft, some certain things and hopefully climb their way up the leaderboards and then earn some AXS and maybe eventually convert that into, an investment for Axies. But no, expect it to kind of stay the same as Classic, where, no Axies is no, utility towards SLP, but it will scale. So again, you don't have to have 3. you can actually bring one. So I hope that helps.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, Ken, for
Thanks for
joining
the
us.
question, and yeah, I hope you can find that maybe a scholarship through someone who is, yeah, sticking around for Origin, because I know that there are a lot of managers who are excited about Origin and still will be offering spots in their guilds or programs.
You can drop me a DM. I've got a list of several guilds who are recruiting right now. That's if anyone else on stage isn't already doing so.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think this is a question for Vince. Are there gonna be craftable runes and charms that you can craft with just SLP in the future?
I don't know. Well, I don't know exactly about the future. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but the current plan is like that's primarily what moon charts are used for. I don't want to reveal too much. We're like I said, we're pretty close to around the corner from some of the comms on some of these season 0 changes. And what I want to make sure I focus on is that we're trying to be as detailed as possible. So there's going to be a ton of stuff to read. So we're going to be educating you guys about how season 0 is changing and working. I think I'm even going to put out a video doing some explanations about all of the changes we're going to see in season 0. So I kind of just want to hold off on that, and then there's going to be so much to be learned very soon.
We have about 4 requests, 5, and then I think after the 5 we can probably call it a town hall there. I mean, end the town hall there. We're getting a lot of requests now. So we're gonna. It's up to Jiho. Do you want to end it at the 5 or just allow these last group?
Let's do the 5. Let's do the 5, and then let's see how we feel.
All right. Jar76 been up here for a while, so we'll bring him up. He also doesn't have a Ronin link, so I will be hovering over your name, brother. All right, koja.axs or coach, KOJ.
Yes, I have a question regarding stickers in Origin. In Clash Royale, I use stickers to bait my opponents to go aggressive early and commit mistakes. And I like the stickers of Origin. My question is there a plan that we can buy more stickers or make it an NFT?
So the question is on whether we can, whether you'll be able to buy stickers using different resources like SLP or maybe even moon shards. I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'll leave that for when it comes.
All right, thank you.
I'm glad you like the stickers though. I like them as well. It was a nice touch that I think everyone got that sticker in the mailbox. That felt like very nostalgic and special. So first of many moments like that.
All right, Team Bird. All right, Boogie. The request and get a little shy. Hi,
Hello.
welcome.
Hey everyone. So I'm Boogie from the Philippines. So my question is regarding runes and charms. So will NFT runes and charms be tradable or giftable to another person? And this could include the Ronin network, and if it will utilize the Ronin network more.
Yeah, so we actually put out a announcement in this Discord that in August, we would be deploying an update to the Axie marketplace. So that update will allow for support of NFT runes and charms. And yes, these will be things that you can trade, gift to other users through the Ronin network. And Jeff K actually gave out a nice leak on Axie Chat last week about what that will look like on the marketplace. So yeah, that's coming up. It's getting closer by the day. So yeah, I'm really excited for it, and stay tuned.
Thank you, Boogie. Bringing up Dolphix.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi,
Hello. Okay. Is my audio okay?
You're a little muffled, but we can. I think we'll be able to make out what you're saying, brother.
Okay, so sorry. Anyway, my question would be about the crafting. Since we have scholars and managers, and then there's a certain percentage for scholars and managers. Like when we introduce the SLP during the crafting, how will it work? Will the manager will be the one to craft, or the scholar? And then how are we going to split the like the SLP burn or the SLP use during that crafting with the manager and scholar's cut?
I can take that one if you need, Jeff. I think I understood it.
Yeah, go for it, Vince.
Yeah. So one of the core things that we were thinking about when we first started talking about SLP being kind of used off the chain for the first time, because in Classic, obviously, you had to basically pull the SLP onto the chain to really get the utility since it's used for breeding. Now we're going to have in-game SLP, which means you can go from earning it in a battle to using it to craft essentially immediately. And so the question kind of came up, how do we protect the owner of an account, let's say who has scholars, from able to kind of manage this? And so there are going to be some toggles that the manager of an account, aka the Ronin holder, has access to. So they can manage if they allow anybody on the account to essentially use SLP to, like, I think eventually use moon shards. And so the idea is we're very cognizant of this potential issue, and the person who is the Ronin holder of the account will have the ability to allow access to someone just using the account to sort of engage with the economy or not.
Okay, so there will be a permission for the scholar to be able to craft.
So moonshard, there is always going to be some moonshard crafting, meaning the moonshards you earn. There's a way to craft with those, but ultimately, the person who's the Ronin holder of the account will, have the final say on like what the account is allowed to do. Is the account allowed to use SLP crafting? Is the account allowed to use moonshard crafting? Things like, is the account allowed to disenchant? Things like that. As we scale to season 1, that's going to be in place.
Okay. So how about this? Will it be possible if we can have something like rental system, like everyone can rent in the marketplace what Axie they want to play, and then there's already a percentage there that the manager, the owner of that Axie can set up, like, or so that by the time the rental expires, the cut will be given to them separately, something like that. I think that would be great if we have that kind of setup rather than the scholarship, because for us at Ready Player DAO, we have a lot of scholars, and having said that, you have to enable every account for that. So I think it will be a lot of work to do, I guess.
I think so. I think right. The question is whether we'll have this kind of in-house scholarship management rental platform. That's something that we've been looking at for a while, and it's quite complicated to do it in a kind of a very safe, non-custodial way. So yeah, it's something that we know many people in the community would like, but it isn't something that we've prioritized.
Okay. So with that sense of like I am the owner of the Axie, and then I have, like, for example, 30 scholars. So I will be giving permission to each scholar with this Ronin so that they can craft something like that. For now, I think that would be the case, right?
Yeah, that's I believe what Vince was saying is that the owner of the account will be able to set certain permissions around crafting. So.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the question.
I guess we'll finish up with Chuck in Aftermath. You can
Sounds
go
good.
ahead and lead us off, Chuck.
All right. Everyone asks really intense questions here, so I appreciate the community and for the time. But my question was, and this is something I've been asking about since the beginning, like with the stickers. Like some people say they use them strategically, as I heard earlier. But what about people that are just nonstop spamming from the first turn and spamming so you don't see their HP and stuff? Like, is there going to be a mute button introduced? I've been asking for this feature for a while now.
That's not something that we've seen some people complaining, and some people saying that there's some toxic behavior going on. So I don't know. It's something that we'll take a look at. Obviously, if people are spamming stickers and that's preventing you from seeing HP, like that's something that needs to get fixed. Related to the question on toxicity and whether people should be able to mute. It's our main goal right now is to make sure that we're able to advance through the phases and get Origin towards a full release, and something like that sounds, I don't know, it could be a distraction, to be honest.
All right. Aftermath, go ahead, brother.
Hey everyone, great day. It's so good to be here. Pleasure to meet the new family members of Sky Mavis. Especially special shout out to Han. Brother, thank you very much for the opportunity on the Axie Creator Program. Now, my question would be, I'm not sure if this has been asked before, but I believe in one of the discussions in the past, we were able to talk about the potential merchandises that is related to, of course, Axie Infinity and probably Ron in network or Ron. So I'm still looking forward on these items, especially, for example, I saw this item when you were in Vietnam, the team of Sky Mavis. There was this treasure. I'm not sure if it's a collaboration with Treasure, but it has something to do with the Ron logo and Treasure. So I'm just wondering if do we still expect this type of merchandises, like for example, a jacket with a Ron logo, a Treasure with a Ron logo? I'm really down with it. I'm willing to buy it even if it's an online store. So do we expect some of those stuff in the near future?
Short answer is yes. We understand
Wow,
that you
amazing.
guys are. We understand that you guys are excited for merch. Especially around Axie stuff, maybe even some Ronin stuff. And yeah, every movement needs merch, and Axie is no different. So it is something that we've started to put the personnel and the team in place to be able to make strides in that direction. And yeah, maybe stay tuned at AxieCon for some updates.
Wow, that's amazing, Jiho. I promise you, if you release a jacket with a Ron logo, I'll definitely wear it and probably send you a copy. Thank you very much, brother. Much love from the Philippines. Thank you.
Solid, man. It's good to hear your voice.
Cool. I think we will wrap it up on that, and we appreciate all the speakers and everyone that came up and asked a question either within the chat or raised their hand and asked a question on stage. This is probably, I think this is our biggest Discord stage so far, and this seems like a very useful tool and platform to host future community events. So look forward to more of these Discord stages from me and the team. Do any of you guys like to say any closing statements before we
Well, I just want to say that, yeah, the response to this has been absolutely amazing. We are at 470, nearing 500 in the town hall. So it's clear that this format really resonates, and yeah, would love to do more of these moving forward. Yeah, thanks to everybody who came out, sending love and strength to each and every one of you. And I encourage you all to come to AxieCon and we can do something like this in person.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't know. This is Paul. I don't know about you, but this format seems really good in terms of being able to interact with our community members and have a little bit more of an intimate back and forth Q&A session. And I think we should try to think about ways to make this more common, maybe once a month or maybe even more often than that. I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with community members.
Awesome. Yeah, I think definitely, around major launches and, we should definitely make sure to make a point to throw these in. I know a lot of you guys prefer this format to the Twitter Spaces, as well. So, and yeah, it just felt a little bit more Axie native, to do it here as well. So.
Ziori, Vince?
Yeah, I just want to say that I had a great time doing this and just re-express again how excited I am for season 0. I mean, I was very excited for season alpha as well, and I remember, pressing enter on that announcement and just feeling this buzz in the community from the emoji reactions, the Twitch. I was watching like 3 Twitch streams at once because everyone was so hyped and they were reading the patch notes together, and I feel like it's going to be even more exciting when we do season 0 because bringing in a new audience, having SLP come over, and there's just so much going on. So yeah, I'm excited for it, and I hope you guys are too.
Awesome. Yeah, season 0, phase 3, soon. We're not going to give you a date. We're just going to drop it on you. And that's sometimes how we're going to do things. Keep you on your toes and also make sure that we're able to fulfill the expectations. Yeah, I saw that people have been asking about part upgrades. Like, I don't want to end this without like at least addressing that a little bit.
Oh, Green Ranger.
So
I think he posted something in the chat. Philip.
We'll see what Phil said. Yeah. So Phil said part upgrades are on our radar and we want to do it ASAP. However, it's a massive feature and further down the line after getting the game out, improving onboarding, getting into app stores, cosmetics, etc. So yeah, Phil said it is really, really important, and we understand how important it is to balancing the economy. That said, like, embarking on that path kind of has a lot of second order effects that we need to be really cognizant of, from everything from game design to art to the marketplace, and it all really needs to line up perfectly. And yeah, it's something that we've been waiting for as a community, right? For a super long time, and we acknowledge that it's really important.
Cool. I think we will end it on that note. Ziori, any final comments, brother? Alrighty. Thank you all for joining us, and stay safe. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. We appreciate you guys dropping in, listening, sharing your thoughts, and asking some questions. I'm looking forward to having more of these spaces with you guys in the future as well. And looking forward to seeing you out there in Origin. You guys enjoy your nights, enjoy your evenings, and enjoy your mornings. Thank you.
Okay, bye everybody. Much love.